Hello, welcome to Cable's Conquest. I'm your host, Archie Cable, and we're here to talk about Marvel Crisis Protocol.
The name's Cable. Remember it.
For today's tournament recap, inaugural tournament recap, I'm heading down to Brighton to the Dice Saloon for Dazed and KO'd, which was a 4-round challenger event run by Aaron. There are 24 players going. Super excited to head down, and I'm super excited to be talking about it today, joined by Curtis Hodgson.
Hello, hi Archie, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm excited. I'm excited to get this first episode done.
Yeah, I'm absolutely buzzing that we're doing this with a surname like Cable. I'm surprised you haven't started popping out content sooner than this.
Yeah, I know. Well, we're going to start doing that by building a roster right now.
You're boring me. If you want to help me nail them, get your team together and let's get started.
So, heading down to Brighton, what roster are you going to be taking, Archie?
So today I've got a roster that is composed of the following. Characters are Cable, Wolverine, OG Wolverine, Deadpool, Domino, X-23, Honey Badger, Hulk, Invincible Iron Man, Baron Zemo, and the Lizard. Team Tactics cards are Cat and Mouse, Pretty Sneaky Sis, Stark Armory, I Am a Baron After All, Weapon X Program, Exceptional Healing, No Matter the Cost, Marked for Death, Advanced R&D, and Brace for Impact. And then finally, my secures and extracts are Mayor Fisk, Infinity Formula, Demons Downtown, Fear Grips, Montesi Formula, and Legacy Virus.
Ooh, quite interesting. X-Force, obviously, I think he's your only leader in the roster?
No, so there is Invincible Iron Man, which is the new S.H.I.E.L.D. leader, but I don't have enough S.H.I.E.L.D. characters in there.
So X-Force it is. There's no hiding there. What's the thinking? I've played you a lot. I've not seen X-Force on the table a lot from you, so tell me what the thinking is.
Well, I mean, it's our first episode of Cable's Conquest, so I felt that given my name is Archie Cable, I had to get Cable on the table just to get that triple Cable threat.
Absolutely.
But also, I really like that X-Force has had loads of buffs. I've had Cable and Deadpool and Domino for ages that don't really see that much play. And given their recent buffs, I just wanted to get them on the table and see what they can do.
Absolutely. So, Archie, can you just recap us what the leadership is that Cable brings with X-Force?
Yeah, so actually that's one of the updated parts. So the leadership is simply, it's a reroll. You can reroll one attack dice once per turn. However, it's recently been updated to include you can reroll skulls with this reroll, and if you use this reroll, you have to be using this reroll within range 3 of your opponent. They don't benefit from cover.
Ooh. So sometimes actually that reroll can turn into like +2 damage rather than just, +1 getting trigger off. So yeah, that can be quite devastating if you're in the right range.
Exactly. Something like Superpowered Scoundrels, suddenly you can actually turn off that cover, which is great.
And on an F map, you can probably be sat on one of the corners and be within range 3 of a character on the center?
Yeah, pretty easily, especially with all a lot of these characters have range 3 or further shooting.
Of course,
so that's
cool. Obviously Cable as well now gets his 2 rerolls at range 3 as well, so it's like doubling down on the threat at that range value.
Yeah.
And I imagine stealth characters, perfect, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly, because stealth characters love sitting in cover and just being really annoying to deal with, but actually this does mitigate that a little bit.
Yeah, because it encourages you to get within where you can target them. Also, it encourages you to stay out of potential martial artist range as well. So the mystiques of this world probably don't like Cable anymore.
Yeah, well, actually, funny on this. So the core that I wanted to use was Cable, Wolverine, and Deadpool. I was really excited to try out all those characters which have recently been updated, and all of them have very easy ways where they can move and still make 2 attacks. So Cable and Deadpool both have a range 2 place, and Wolverine has his charge, Uber charge, the best at what I do. And that's really nice because it means you can get around, you can use the leadership effectively, you can get within stealth range but stay out of martial artist range, and just pretty easily guarantee yourself 2 attacks with those characters each turn.
But you can only use that reroll once. Are you looking to use it to double down when you've got a spike, or are you looking to use it to get through that chip damage?
So normally it's either when I've got a damage through and I just want to get 1 more damage, or it's if I'm chasing triggers. So for example, Deadpool has triggers on all of his attacks, which allow rapid fire.
Cool.
And so using that reroll to just try and get that wild or try and get that hit, depending on what you need. So it's really useful.
So you're looking for lots of bang bangs, lots of stabs.
Yeah. And suddenly then Deadpool's 4 dice attack becomes a 6 dice attack because he has his I know karate reroll, which is an attack reroll and a defense reroll, but we're talking about attack. And then he can also use the leadership.
So you've got Cable with inbuilt rerolls on his builder now.
Exactly.
You've got Deadpool with an inbuilt reroll because he knows karate.
Exactly.
You've got X-23 in there. She's an assassin.
Yeah.
So she's got a reroll. So and you've got Baron Zemo as well.
Yes.
Who not only has his own rerolls, can give out rerolls to other people as well.
Exactly.
So you're really looking, this is reroll central, Iron Man as well.
So that is, you've nailed the point. So Invincible Iron Man is in there and Zemo is also in there because I want to just double down on rerolls. You're right. So Cable has this new thing where when he shoots his plasma rifle within range 3, he gets 2 rerolls. So doubling down on the reroll game seemed like the thing to do. So Invincible Iron Man can sit at the back. He can give out rerolls, attack rerolls to his comrades, and you just suddenly, your rubbish dice roll of 5 dice getting 1 hit can suddenly become 5 successes.
Brilliant. Wow. Excellent. So you've got the Hulk in there as well. He's not an X-Force member. What's the plan behind him?
Yeah, so I actually got convinced by you to take Hulk for that kind of tall team. But actually, to be honest, I never had any intention of playing Hulk. He was actually a bit more of a decoy just to try and throw my opponents off in that turn 0.
I think it's smart because if I saw Hulk in an X-Force roster, I'd be thinking they probably want to play him. If anyone enjoys a reroll more, it's got to be the Hulk, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, if you think about it, Cable and Hulk are an 11 threat core, and then you bring in a Wolverine for 15, or you can bring in your 3s. There's loads of options there. There's loads of flexibility.
So yeah, your opponent gets priority, Gamma pops up, you're quite confident going 15 threat with those 3.
Yeah, absolutely. I could have done that. That was in the plan, but I didn't really want to play Hulk. I wanted to play all of the X-Force characters.
Yeah, I like it a lot. Brilliant. So, crises. Talk me through the thinking behind the crises that you've chosen.
So X-Force, I think, is an attrition team, and my plan around it, because I'm doing all this attack rerolls and a lot of long-range characters, I want slow-scoring objectives. So the secures I've gone for are Mayor Fisk, Infinity Formula, and Demons Downtown, so they're all pretty slow scoring. I avoided Gamma Wave because I don't really want to play Hulk, and I think 15, you've got to play Hulk in there.
Of course.
And then Extract, I've gone with Legacy Virus and Montesi Formula, which are both only 3 VPs. Of course, there's the Legacy Virus explosion, but you can mitigate that quite effectively. And then Fear Grips is because it doubles down on that attrition. It's like you're getting extra dice in your rolls to like then re-roll loads. And someone like Deadpool, with his rapid fire, loves the re-rolls. Loves the extra dice from the hammers.
Absolutely. And it's more scope to re-roll. And like, you could have a situation where Cable can potentially re-roll, to like 5 dice? 1 with the leadership, 2 of his own, and potentially if he's got, Invincible Iron Man or someone else around him, if you're just giving him more dice that aren't going to be skulls, so he can re-roll them.
Yeah. And also don't forget that Cable can incinerate people. So you have this like range 5 dice attack that has at least 1 reroll with the leadership, potentially more. Your chances of getting that wild are pretty high.
Yeah. Domino would probably be a lot, like, I always find with Domino, she's incredibly useful if you can build a load of power on her with a gainer, with her rapid fire.
Yeah.
But ultimately, she's there to survive and throw out those incinerators.
Exactly.
But now you can actually, like, seriously push out damage with those grenades as well.
Yeah.
Especially if you can, pay power on her to turn her skulls into crits. You then got an additional dice from that crit that you can potentially re-roll with either the leadership or with Iron Man or whoever to really, make these 4 dice attacks, 6 dice attacks.
Yeah, and also get that explosive. So she's then doing chip damage. So there's a lot going on. And actually, funnily, X-23 and Honey Badger, staples of X-Force,
of course,
I don't own. So it was quite a late addition to the list because I tried a bunch of characters in there. And
who failed for you? Who
so the latest cull was the Punisher and Black Widow. And the reason I didn't take the Punisher was just because I never played him. Like he was never an option.
You've got better free throw options.
Exactly. And then Black Widow just does not play into the game plan at all. So I had in mind she'd be an objective runner, but it's quite easy to kill if you get close to her.
She picks up a essential extract, maybe on Legacy Virus or even on Montesi.
Yeah.
And what does she do? She dies.
Exactly. And so I just thought, you know what, I'm going to see if I can borrow someone's. And Aaron, actually, the tournament organizer, was the person who lent me the two.
Oh, fantastic. So heading down to Brighton, you've got a strong core of X-Force, plus a couple of splashes.
Yeah.
You know, going into that, doubling down on the rerolls,
Mhm.
and Lizard, because he's just really good.
Yeah, he's good extract grabber.
Yeah. he's your Black Widow.
Exactly.
Yeah. Nice. Excellent. So you've built your roster, you know what your game plan is. When you're sat at the table, your opponent turns up, what do you really not want to see across the other side?
So I think in terms of your objectives, like I said, you want slow scoring objectives. So I think stuff like Web Warriors, I'm not sure is ideal for me because they tend to play fast and they tend to play like lots of control. And that is something that this list lacks. It lacks control.
Yeah.
And it's got a lot of inbuilt movement for themselves.
Not a ton of displacement.
But not a ton of displacement. And then also we talked a little bit about it earlier with the stealth characters. I can deal with it, but if I'm getting controlled a lot, then that's problematic. So I think I want slow scoring objectives. So anyone who likes to play fast is a little bit more tricky for me.
Sure. And you probably don't mind coming up against a big attrition side because you can attrition and you can attrition from a slightly further range.
Exactly. I actually don't mind. So stuff like Hulks, Cosmic Ghost Riders, all that stuff, those tall lists. Yeah, I'm not going to get priority because I'll probably go wider. But actually with the Wolverines and Cable and Deadpool, there's a lot of potential damage going out. And so actually you can whittle them down pretty quickly, even if they get good defense rolls.
Well, should we head down to Brighton and go into game one?
Sounds good.
We're not retreating. It's victory or death.
So you're down in Brighton, up bright and early on the train, turn up to Dice Saloon.
Dice Saloon, yep.
Yeah, and you're at game one. So talk us through it. Who are you facing? What have they brought?
So facing a gent called Dan.
Nice.
So this was his first tournament game. He's been playing the game since it came out, but it's his first time at an event.
So casual player, themey player, that kind of thing?
I think so, and I think also he just didn't have a local tournament. So that's one thing that was great about this kind of a new venue, new event. There was more people to get involved.
Fantastic.
And he was playing X-Men.
Ooh.
And quite an interesting X-Men list. So Cyclops recently been done up.
Brand new Cyclops.
So he brings Cyclops. So we roll priority, I win priority, I pick my own secures, and we draw Infinity Formula and Spider Infected. So we're going 17.
Right, yeah, you've got no choice on that, do you?
No choice.
There's quite a lot of points on the table. You told me you didn't want many points on the table.
Yeah, so Infinity Formula is probably the one I wanted least out of my own.
Right.
But then we actually build the squads. So my squad, let me run you through it, is Cable, of course, Wolverine and Deadpool, that core that I talked about.
Yeah.
And then Baron Zemo comes in.
Of course. These are cheap rerolls.
Cheap rerolls. And Honey Badger gets her first outing under the Cable helm.
So you had no qualms. You've never played with her before. You had no qualms throwing her right in there.
No, it just, the points needed the tooth threat. And I want to try her out. I brought her, so I've got to try her out.
Strong. Well, it's allowed you to go 5 wide. Yes, she's not contesting objectives, but probably not the end of the world.
Yeah. So then he surprises me a little bit. So he brings Cyclops, Wolverine as well.
The OG Wolverine.
OG Wolverine.
Nice.
Colossus and Cable.
Ooh.
So we've got Cable and Wolverine. And actually, despite the fact that I'm bringing Honey Badger, who doesn't contest objectives, suddenly we're actually 4v4 on the objectives.
You're at parity with a walking Incinerate in Honey Badger.
Exactly. And actually that will come into factor, which is quite fun. So because it's this D map, we've got the kind of 2 columns. Cool. And neither of us particularly like moving that much. Like once we're in one place, we just like to shoot things. So I line up, we have a Cable off and we have a Wolverine off. So we've lined up, so Deadpool and Cable are on my left side, and Wolverine, Honey Badger are on the right flank, and then Zemo's in the middle.
Sure.
And I have priority. So
Zemo's there, nice and flexible, long move.
Exactly. And so this is where I'm trying X-Force, I'm trying new things, and Cat and Mouse comes into play, right? So after deployment, but before the power phase, importantly, you can place a character within 2, an X-Force character within 2 of their current position. So that means I can place Wolverine within 2, which gets him onto the Infinity Formula, which gives him an extra power in the power phase, which turns on his charge round 1.
Excellent. So no advanced R&D shenanigans.
Nope.
He's got his power early doors. Excellent.
Yeah. So I'm thinking to myself, so I use Zemo as my middle grab. So I grab the central extract, which I feel pretty good about. It means I'm going up on points. On extracts, early doors. However, I then do my charge with Wolverine. I charge into his Colossus.
Right.
And I do 5 out of the 6 damage I need to do to Colossus.
So have you charged with a no matter the cost as well to do his spender?
Yes. Yes.
Nice. That's range 3.
That's range 3. So yeah, new Wolverine can now do his charge into his spender. So I take 3 damage to do no matter the cost.
Excellent.
Do my spender with wilds counting his doubles and throws and stuff.
And he's got his reroll there.
Yeah. And so I do loads of damage with that first attack, but then fail to get him on the second one. So Colossus stays standing on 1 health, which is a bit annoying because it would have been nice to get that early days, but that's okay. It means that Wolverine and his Wolverine are on the same point, and his Wolverine had already activated, so we weren't getting.
So his Wolverine had already activated, so you know there's no threat there of him attacking back.
Exactly.
That's always the worry, I think, with a Wolverine off, where whoever goes first, the second one just gets 2.
Exactly. So that was fine. However, I realised the challenge with Honey Badger is that she can't contest, and I'd kind of forgotten this in throwing Wolverine in, so it meant that Honey Badger on that one flank couldn't actually pick up any objectives, which meant I had to bring Cable from the other flank away from the Cable off and chuck him in so that he was contesting. And because of my placement, I had to do 2 moves and a place, which meant he didn't have any power to pick up any extracts.
And didn't have any attacks.
So that was a bit rookie.
Yeah.
Just didn't think. So actually, funnily enough, in that case, Black Widow would have been better. But it's okay. And it means that Deadpool is now facing off against Cyclops and Cable, which is bold, but...
Deadpool dazes early doors. He's now on his healthy side. You've got exceptional healing still online.
Exactly. And so I basically do take the advantage in points in the first round, but just by 1. Whereas I probably could have, if I'd managed it a little bit better.
Because you've managed to get Wolverine's contest.
Exactly. So then this round 2, he now has priority. And his Colossus goes, and he has a really nice Colossus play. So he does his attack onto Wolverine, his spender, because he's got loads of power now, so he's taking loads of damage.
You get his wilds?
Gets his wild, so Wolverine's staggered. However, that actually doesn't matter, because then he basically... I was like, oh, this is fine. He moves back onto the point, and then throws Wolverine at Wolverine. So he uses that fastball special.
Oh, excellent.
And I think he gets Wolverine down to 1 or 2 health, and then he just chucks something and kills him.
Oh, so the stagger, he could have just left him
So the stagger was actually a bit irrelevant, but it does mean that my Wolverine is dazed, and therefore the next turn is not holding extract. So now I have 2 characters on that flank that aren't holding extracts. Yeah, so that's not ideal.
No.
And I've already got a dazed character.
Yeah. And as much as I'm rooting for you, Archie, of course, really pleased your opponent got fastball special off.
Yeah.
Did you bring fastball? Oh, you got Colossus.
No, I don't have Colossus. No, I don't have Colossus. And I didn't actually bring the Weapon X program in this game
to be able to throw
Wolverine, which, there's a few cards I would have liked to have, Brace being one of them. Because it would have been nice if Wolverine could have survived, because he didn't get to activate that.
Sure.
And then I think this is where I make one of my big mistakes of the game early doors, is I then activate Deadpool. And Deadpool is going to try and kill Cyclops. Because actually, he's got 2 range 4 attacks into Cyclops, potentially with Bang Bang. He does not very much.
Yeah, well, they're 4 dice attacks with 2 rerolls.
2 reroll, well,
1 and a bit, depending on when you do your leadership. The Cyclops is 6 health, 4 physical defense.
Yeah, and this allows his Cable then to walk up and daze my Zemo. So then Zemo doesn't get to go. I think actually it was quite funny because Cable gets in that range where he's within range 3 with the 2 rerolls. Rerolls, does 2 attacks, does 2 damage off 2 attacks with 2 rerolls, and I was thinking, oh, happy days. And then he picks up a size 4 building, lobs it at Zemo, and Zemo just crumples.
Yeah.
So that wasn't ideal, and it means that I lose the extract.
It's a good lesson that in how to use cable, though, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
you place, you attack, you throw.
Exactly. And then he used Field Leader with Cyclops to move Cable back onto the point. So Cable was still, it was really nice played, clearly played with Cyclops a bit recently. And so at the end of that round, I'm now down by 2 VPs. There's a 3 VPs.
You're 1-up.
So it was 4-3 at the end of round 1. It's now 7-9 to Dan's X-Men. And then round 3 kicks off. And so I think this is where there's a little bit of a trap with Wolverine that I fell into.
But you just gained priority back, haven't you?
I have.
Because even though Wolverine went down, that wouldn't have given you priority. Zemo went down as well.
Yeah. So I choose to go with Wolverine. And the thinking is that Wolverine's souped up because he's taken loads of damage.
Of course.
He can basically do what he does. He charges, he does his spender, and then he just does a builder. And he has that reroll. But he fluffs bad.
No.
And this is the problem with Wolverine, is if he doesn't get his attacks off, he can either be unbelievably good or he just does nothing. And so I think I did some damage to Colossus, but not enough.
Yeah.
I attacked one of those two, Wolverine or Colossus on that flank. He didn't do enough. And that gave Cable the opportunity to do what he just did to Zemo. And Zemo goes off the board round 3 having done nothing.
Just pick your extract and
died.
scored it once.
Yeah. And I think actually what I should have done in that case was gone with Zemo, done something with Zemo, because he had loads of power as well.
Yeah.
And Wolverine was more survivable with
And you still had
exceptional healing.
exceptional healing, yeah.
Exactly.
And if you know what, if Wolverine on his injured side, now he's got 6 health, if he takes a couple of damage,
Yeah.
it's just more dice that he'll heal back after he activates.
Exactly. And so that was a lesson learned. And actually, spoiler alert, that's the last we see of Zemo.
Oh.
Whole day. So then there's a bit of toing and froing. I think actually Honey Badger steps up and takes out Colossus. So Colossus goes off the table round 3 off a Honey Badger killer attack.
So Colossus was dazed before.
No, excuse me, he's not off the table. You're
No.
right. Sorry, yeah. He gets dazed because he just needed 1 damage. Yeah, that was why the fluff with Wolverine was so annoying, because he just needed 1.
Yeah. But I imagine he's got the power from you doing the early attacks, so he can add dice. He's minusing 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, he's a tough cookie.
Yeah, and so that's a bad turn for me. So I end up going 14-10 down at the end of the round, which is not good. I think I did okay to kind of salvage the situation with Zemo going down, but it's still not good.
No, probably good because he's not been able to close out the game.
Exactly, and
Gives
so
you an opportunity.
So now I know he needs 2 points, and this is where it kind of comes down to the wire. I needed a few things to go right here for me to get in this game, and Deadpool steps up. Deadpool kills Cyclops. I think his Cyclops had come close to Deadpool, so Deadpool was in stab range and just did the work on him. So actually Deadpool was immense because he held up that flank like a champ.
Yeah, by himself.
He was healthy by the end of the game, and he's only got 4 health. It was ridiculous. And then on the other side, so Cyclops goes down. On the other side, his Wolverine, who's still healthy at this point, picks up an extract and runs away. You can kind of see the logic was because Dan was just trying to score 2 points. And his Cable on that side does some shots into Deadpool, but ultimately is scoring the kind of 2 points he needed. So I need, 6 points. In my head, I had Cable, Honey Badger, and Wolverine left. And Honey Badger walks up to Wolverine and just stands next to him, just for that incinerate. That sweet incinerate. He still has exceptional healing online. So basically I'm like, Cable has got 2 attacks and a throw to kill Wolverine. Yeah. Through exceptional healing. Cable steps up for a size 4 building at Wolverine, and Wolverine takes, I think, 4 damage.
So you're that's baiting out the exceptional healing?
He doesn't use it then.
Oh.
So Wolverine then has 3 damage left, and he's basically hoping for, it was only 2 damage he had left, so I can't remember how, he might have taken something before, but he was basically hoping for a fluff.
Yeah.
And I think this was an error.
Yeah, he needed to
because Cable then hops up, is in range 3 with his 5 dice plasma rifle. He's only rolling 1 dice because he's already been incinerated in a previous round. And Cable does the business through the exceptional healing with his 2 to 3 rerolls.
Well, he just needed 2 attacks to do 1 damage each.
Exactly. So I think that was a mistake. So Wolverine then drops his VPs, and I'm like, okay, I'm back. Until I realised that Cable is already holding an extract, so cannot pick it up. And so it means that the round ends, I score 15 and he's at 16.
Oh, so he gets his 2.
So he gets his 2 with his Cable.
Yeah.
And I was thinking I just need to draw and then go another round.
Because you've got his Cable is sat on a point. You've got the other 3 points.
Exactly.
2 extracts.
Yes, 2 extracts. And he drops that one, so that's where the other one is. And that's the one I needed.
Oh.
So it comes down to the wire. It was a brilliant game. It was really fun. There was a lot going on. There's a lot of cool, like, X-Men v X-Men kind of theme. But ultimately,
a bit of a Secret Wars with, characters facing off against each other.
Exactly. But ultimately, unfortunately, my first competitive outing with X-Force ends in a 15-16 loss.
Very narrow, though. It sounds like an absolute cracker.
It was a great game.
So, Archie, fresh off your narrow loss to Dan, you go into round 2. Who are you up against?
So I'm down on the bottom tables, and I am up against Maria.
Oh.
So Maria's a very good player, but the reason she's on the bottom tables is because she had to miss the first round.
Oh,
so
right.
I think she had like personal circumstances which she
turned up a bit late.
Yeah. So we're facing off. However, so Maria is very well known for her convocation, but today she was trying something new. She was playing Midnight Suns. So that was cool. She had Immortal Hulk in there, which is always fun to see on the table. Absolutely. I love Immortal Hulk. So the game is, I can't remember who wins priority, but we play Mayor Fisk and Montesi.
Great.
So it was, I think we had pretty much the same crises.
Right.
I think there was only like one difference in each. So we play Mayor Fisk and Montesi, and we play at 16.
Right. Okay.
Actually, yeah, so she won priority because I got to choose the threat mode. So I went 16. And the reason is because I wanted to bring out Iron Man. The Invincible Iron Man gets the table. So my squad is Cable, Wolverine, X-23 this time, no Deadpool.
No Deadpool, right.
And so my first go with X-23 and Invincible Iron Man.
So essentially, Deadpool is out for X-23 and Honey Badger and Zemo have been upgraded to Invincible Iron Man.
Exactly. And part of the reason I brought X-23 is because it was always going to be a bit closer because you had to go for those Fisks.
Nice.
Because they were 2 VPs each. So I thought she'd be better in close combat. And Maria brought Blade, Immortal Hulk, Iron Fist, and everyone's favourite Wong.
Nice.
So it's quite interesting because while it's 4v4 and we're both attrition, she's got Wong, who's not doing much.
She's got 3 attrition characters.
Exactly.
And then a bit of a power.
But Immortal Hulk's a big old attrition character.
Yeah.
So this time I have to do it the honest way, and I do the turn 1 advanced R&D onto Wolverine so that he gets his charge off.
Sure.
So he charges round 1 and very nearly dazes Blade. So Blade has walked up into the middle, he charges in, hops onto Blade. I think I actually do, similar to the last game, I do all but 1 damage to Blade with the Spender. I throw him into something which would have done the last damage, but I burned the brace. So I burned brace round 1, which is really nice.
Very good.
And then Wolverine fails to do any damage with his 5 dice attack. So Blade survives on 1. And other than that, there wasn't a huge amount of intrigue because I was kind of sitting back with the rest of the characters, like keeping away from Immortal Hulk. So I don't want to. I think Immortal Hulk might have managed to get 1 attack off, but it didn't. It wasn't very effective.
Sure.
So at the end of round 1, I'm 3-4 down, and that is because she grabbed the middle Montesi Formula. There was no point in me going for the Montesi Formula early because Hulk would have just killed them.
And you only stop her scoring that point if you take Blade out, which you almost did.
No. So because it's the Fisk one, it's a bit wider out. So I have the left Fisk from where I'm sitting because Wolverine gets Blade off it, and then she has the right one because that's where Immortal Hulk is. And Immortal Hulk picks up the book.
Excellent. Okay, I'm with you.
So then round 2 comes on, and she goes with Blade first. She's got loads of power, and Wolverine survives. Wolverine survives a Blade onslaught. I don't think I even had to burn exceptional healing.
Oh, okay.
So that was great because it then basically meant I could leave Blade and kill him at my leisure. However, I forget that Blade heals when things are bleeding. So actually, he'd managed to heal a bit back up because he managed to get a few people bleeding. So she wasn't quite as ripe for the taking as I'd hoped. But I then went with Wolverine, and Wolverine ignores Blade, charges across the map, and nails Iron Fist in 1. So Iron Fist gets dazed, and that's really nice. I also put then Wolverine in a bit of harm's way because Immortal Hulk is right there, but I was trying to kind of bait out the Immortal Hulk attack onto a character that's already activated, but then when he flips, he goes berserk.
Yeah. And you still got exceptional healing?
Still got exceptional healing.
So it might take 2 attacks from
Exactly. Iron Fist is dazed, and then on the other side, then Cable basically walks up and kills Blade. because Blade hates energy.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I wasn't able to get Cable onto the point just because I needed double tap to get Blade, and I couldn't hop onto the point and double tap. It was like millimeters in it. So X-23 has to run across to get that point. So I've left Wolverine a bit on his own, facing down an Immortal Hulk. Immortal Hulk then has his way with Wolverine.
As you'd expect.
Poor Wolverine. So I'm down 6-7 at the end of round 2, but I'm feeling all right because I've dazed 2 of his characters to my 1, and Wolverine can get up and go berserk. However, Maria then had priority, and this meant that Immortal Hulk wrecked Wolverine because there are a few things going on here. So Immortal Hulk throws off all his attacks. He's got an inbuilt superpower throw. He's got throws off his attacks. So basically he could double tap and throw something at Wolverine. Wolverine has to burn the exceptional healing, and he's alive. And then Maria goes, right, Siege of Darkness. So Immortal Hulk gets a 3rd attack, and Iron Fist gets an attack, and Blade gets an attack. So her Siege of Darkness is what wipes out Wolverine in the end, and she managed to do quite a lot of damage to everyone else. A detail I'd forgotten, however, is that I popped off Stark Armory at this point. So Stark Armory is Iron Man's new thing.
What does that card do then?
So in the power phase, he spends X amount of power, and the amount of power he spends determines a range. So say he spends 3 power, he has a range 3 effect, and the effect is +1 dice to every attack made by an allied character, including Iron Man,
Excellent.
within that bubble. So it was a shame that Wolverine didn't get a chance to have a go with it. But it did mean that Cable and X-23 were online.
X-23, I bet loved that exercise.
So I go with Cable and I kill Blade.
Excellent.
Get him off the board. He's just no good against energy. It's one of his big problems, and I spoke to Maria after the game. It's one of Blade's massive issues, is that he only has 3 energy defense and he wants to be in the fight, and so if he comes up against energy, he can just get wrecked. And Cable now, excellent.
Yeah, get within range 3. He's reliably doing damage.
He's incinerating. He's then still got his throw online to kind of
finish him off. Excellent.
Yeah. However, it does unfortunately mean that X-23 then gets dazed.
She doesn't get to go with the extra dice?
So she doesn't get to go with the extra dice.
Oh.
And I think it was Iron Fist that got her in the end.
Oh.
So Iron Fist gets X-23. I think then Iron Man takes out Iron Fist. Right. So it was okay because it ended up being there was quite a swing in points. So I then got 12-8.
Right. So you've traded a few characters, but it sounds like you've managed to keep hold of them.
Yeah, and I think the reason was because Iron Man was able to push. I think Iron Man did very well this turn, if I remember rightly. He managed to push Immortal Hulk off the point.
Excellent. And
then go on to the point himself. So I was scoring the Fisk point that Immortal Hulk was
on. And the Fisks, there were 2.
2 each.
Right.
And then on the other flank, maybe I didn't take out Iron Fist at this point. No, I didn't take out Iron Fist at this point, but I had I don't think he could get on to that point and also take out X-23, so I had both the Fisks. So I was still down a Montesi Formula, but I was up on the Fisks, and that's where the big
That is a big swing, because 2 points on a single point.
Yeah.
You know, if there's 4 points on the table, you have 2, they've got 2, you're at parity. If you have 3 versus 1, difference is only 2. Here, this is 4.
Yeah, exactly. And so I'm 4 up, but Maria has priority, and Immortal Hulk goes, and Immortal Hulk takes out Cable, so dazes Cable, but crucially X-23 survives. And I think the only reason she survived is because Maria failed to get the wild trigger for throwing Cable.
Oh no.
It was throwing X-23. I think she hit Cable through Cable, which killed him, and then hit X-23, who survived on 1 because she didn't get the throw off.
Right.
And X-23 had been bang average this game so far. She'd just been holding points. Like, she'd done fine. She pops off right now. So my thing is I need to kill Iron Fist, because otherwise Iron Fist attacks X-23, kills her, and I probably lose the game, because Iron Fist can then... all my characters are then dazed, apart from Invincible Iron Man, who probably... I think he might have survived, but I think it would have been difficult. X-23 managed to kill Iron Fist through the martial artist.
Sure. Nice.
Which is, he's annoying.
Very good.
He's annoying against. Exactly. She then triggers Frenzy, walks on to the other point, Oh no, she doesn't walk onto the other point, but she walks to a place where she can then pick up an objective and takes out Wong. One shot's Wong.
Excellent.
So she double taps Iron Fist, gets the other attack, which allows her to move, take out Wong, and then Maria's only got Immortal Hulk left on the board. And
Right.
I have X-23 and Iron Man. Well, Iron Man still could go. Iron Man just stays on his point, shoots some stuff.
But you're 12-8 up at this point.
Yep.
Going into this round.
Yep.
She's only got one medal left.
Uh-huh.
Who can only score 3 points.
Exactly.
You're feeling pretty good.
Yeah. And actually, that's where the game ends. Because X-23 is holding, Iron Man's holding, and Iron Man is on the objective. So I'm scoring 4 VPs, which takes me up to the magic 16.
Excellent.
So it's 16-11.
Oh, very good game. Very well played.
It was a great game, and actually, I was really pleased because my thing with Iron Man was that I really wanted a bit more control and the rerolls. And actually, in that X-23 turn where she popped off, she rolled terribly in the first go. So I think I did an attack into Iron Fist and rolled 1 hit, and that was it. And then I got the Assassin's reroll, the Leadership reroll, and 3 rerolls from Iron Man, and suddenly 1 hit turned into 5 hits with a bleed.
Wow.
And Iron Man at this stage had done so much. He'd rolled well this game, and he'd taken some damage, so he had loads of power. So she was just getting a ton of rerolls.
He brings something which your other characters don't, and that's being able to move your opponent's models with his push.
Yeah.
But still doing the thing you need him to do, which is buff everyone else. I think the combination of having Stark Armory and the rerolls is a really nice. He's your banner effect.
Exactly. If we're going crossovers. That's one for all the MESBG listeners out there. But no, he was brilliant, and actually he did exactly what I wanted him to. He was pushing stuff off, and he's basically, we talked about it, about taking Shuri instead, and actually I think he plays that attrition game a lot better, because he benefits from the rerolls, the leadership reroll as well.
And it's costing you a threat, but it's totally worth it.
Exactly. So so ended up being a 16-11. I'm on the board with X-Force.
1 for 1. Well done. So we're on to round 3. We're past the halfway mark and you're 1 for 1. So feeling good. Got your first competitive win with X-Force.
Yeah. And against a very good player as well. I was very pleased. So game 3, I come up against a brand new player. So this was his first event. I think he played like 2 games before this.
Right.
This was Mark Amos. He has forgive me if I get this wrong, I think a kill team background, so he knows war games, but he's just new to MCP. And he's playing New Steve.
Nice.
Which is fun. So
what's the leadership on New Steve? Remind us all.
So New Steve's new leadership is once per turn, when you roll attack dice and you roll a hit in your dice, you can spend a power and change one of your other results to any result you want. Excellent for triggers.
Yeah.
And I think he'd bought a load of models online, like from a job lot,
Sure.
but he was playing largely from the core box, which is fun to see. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So he wins priority, and he chooses his secures.
Classic.
And we draw Infinity Formula, which is one of my secures, so I'm happy about that, and Deadly Legacy Virus.
Which is also one of your extra.
Well, that's my extra, because I have to pick from it.
Sorry, I have played this game before. I do know how it works.
Yeah. And so it's 17 or 19, and I end up choosing 17. I have 5 wide, and it's fully affiliated. And this is the first time where the Wolverines come out. All 3 of them. First time I've done it. It was very exciting.
Nice.
So it's Cable, Deadpool, and the Wolverines. So OG Wolverine, Laura Kinney, and Gabrielle.
Oh, the sisters. So that's a lovely 9-threat bunch.
Exactly. And yeah, I looked across the table, and he had brought New Steve, of course, Sam, Iron Fist, Luke Cage, and excitingly, the Black Widow. Not 2-threat Black Widow, not 3-threat Black Widow, 4-threat, the Black Widow.
The Black Widow. Black Widow carrying around those Ultron bots.
Exactly.
Every battlefield she goes to.
Exactly. She has to have a trophy.
Yeah.
So, this was a funny game because he's a new player. So he's always gonna make mistakes. He's always not gonna know the tactics. But actually, he played really well, and it was a really fluid game.
Sure.
Given that I'm playing against a newer opponent. So it's a similar situation. I've learned from my mistakes in the first game where we have this 2 columns.
Of course.
And so on this occasion, it's Cable and Wolverine take on one flank, and Deadpool, X-23, and Honey Badger on the right. I had to keep the sisters together, of course.
Of course.
And I chose to split Honey Badger and Wolverine this time because Wolverine, when he flips, doesn't contest.
So you didn't want to have the mistake you made last time, which was 2 non-contesting characters on
Exactly,
one side.
exactly. But Legacy Virus is much better because there's only 3 objectives on the table this time.
Of course, and you're 5 wide. Two of them might not be able to pick up.
Yeah, exactly. And across from them, so I think it's New Cap and Luke Cage is on the flank facing off against Cable and Wolverine. Sam is in the middle, and then Iron Fist and the Black Widow are against the Wolverine sisters. And this was a stroke of genius from Mark, because Iron Fist and the Black Widow have martial artist, which is a very good counter.
Yeah, to all the pierces.
Exactly. So that was, whether it was let's say it was intentional, it was a stroke of genius, Mark.
Yeah.
And so this is where maybe I should have brought Lizard into it to just have that safe central steal. I walk X-23 up. X-23 then gets 4 dice from the Black Widow to the face and is one off dazing. It was
4 dice, 4 damage.
It was savage. It was savage. I think he probably used the leadership as well.
Sure.
But it was, I was like, oh dear, X-23 is in trouble. Other than that, there wasn't a huge amount to report. I think, actually no, that's a lie. Iron Fist and Sam come forward. They do the really aggressive play and come and sit on my objectives. So he's holding his 2 home Infinity Formulae, and I'm having to work a bit harder to hold my own.
Right, wow. Very aggressive.
Very aggressive. But I think we spoke about it in game 1. I did the similar play with Wolverine where it's cat and mouse into a charge.
Sure.
And so actually, late on in the round, I do that play with Wolverine, so I'm actually contesting his back objective.
Excellent.
And I think I almost kill Steve. I think I'm really close to dazing Steve round 1.
Close to you. What, Cable just...
No, it was Wolverine's charge.
Oh, right, okay.
So sorry. Captain America, Steve was sat on the back objective. Sam came forward, and Wolverine went and got Steve and had a go at Steve.
Sorry.
Maybe I should have gone for Sam. I have a feeling that wasn't an option at the time when I activated Wolverine, but
taking out Steve, taking out
the leadership would have felt good. So he's up only by 1 on objectives, but it's only 2-3. So actually the scoring is very low in this game, despite the fact that there are 7 VPs. He has an extract advantage, but then we both only score 1 each for our Infinity
course, because you're contesting each other's.
Yeah.
At the same time.
So I think it's Cable and Sam, Wolverine and Steve, and then he has his home objective, and I have mine with like Deadpool. I can't remember how it worked, but yeah, basically I had my home one. So however it worked, it was 2-3 to him at the end of round 1. Round 2, he has priority, and so X-23 goes down. So right. she did. I couldn't have burned the exceptional healing because she only had 1 health left.
She didn't have the power in the first.
Yep.
In the first attack either. So.
But Cable gets Captain America, so I think that's a worthy trade-off for a dazed Cap.
Definitely. Sam. Take out Sam.
No, sorry, Steve, who was only 1 or 2 health left after Wolverine had his way with him. And then Wolverine got Sam. So we had almost like Wolverine just ran back. And basically the reason I was doing that was because I was trying to get priority. I didn't want to daze Steve before he'd gone, because I didn't want to, I wanted to have priority for the next round.
You'd lost your activation with Laura. So you want to be targeting characters that are activated.
Exactly. And I think at the time, Wolverine could go, Sam had gone, so he could go at Sam. And so that was kind of my thinking with that. And then on the other side, on the other flank, Deadpool takes out Iron Fist, which I think I got quite lucky here because Iron Fist counts blank, so he can be obnoxiously tanky.
Yeah.
But Deadpool just, I think, weight of attack dice in the end just got him. And also with Honey Badger around, he's only rolling 2 defense dice. So she actually is really good on that flank because it meant that...
she seems to be a really handy piece for you in the 2 games that you played her, for not just Wolverine, but for Cable, because she just runs up. You either deal with her, or you don't deal with her, but if you're not dealing with her, everyone is just getting extra dice.
Yeah, and she's too dangerous to ignore.
Course.
Which is crucial because and actually we'll come to that. So I think that's how it goes. So we've both had quite a lot of dazing on either side. I unfortunately haven't written the score down in my notes, which is a bit silly, but I think I start going up because that left flank, suddenly I'm winning because I've got 2 healthy characters and he's got none. Of course, they're both dazed. And on the other flank, it's a bit more even. The Black Widow was really annoying. She ran up into my point and just stood there and just took hits like, So just to talk you through a bit about the Black Widow's kit, 'cause she's new. She's got martial artist, so within range 2 she's counting blanks, but she's also got a superpower called calculated risk, which she spends 2 power and can reroll any number of defense dice against physical or mystic, including skulls.
Wow.
So suddenly her counting blanks with calculated risk makes her very tanky.
Yeah.
And so she was just being a nuisance. She was a real nuisance. So I think I still have the VP advantage. And then round 4 kicks off and I have my priority that I wanted.
Well done.
So Wolverine takes out Sam.
Finishes him off.
Yeah, finishes him off, which is good. And so that flank is secured. I think I've missed that I killed Steve.
Steve out the game as well.
Steve was out the game as well.
Yeah.
So
Steve probably went down round 3?
Steve went down round 3, yeah, sorry, that's what I missed out. Yeah, Steve got KO'd round 3. And actually that was another piece of luck because he counts blanks with his perfect block. He can be very, very annoying. But I think he just had one bad roll. And
it's when he rolls a ton of hits in his defensive roll. It's
and he's only 5 health on that side.
Yeah.
So Steve goes down and at the top of round 4, Sam goes down. So basically that means I'm scoring 3 VPs over there, guaranteed, because I've got one of the objectives over there, one of the extracts, and 2 of the secures.
And so the characters that he's got left.
He has the Black Widow, who is healthy, Iron Fist, who is dazed, and Luke Cage, who is healthy.
Right, okay, so tanky characters, but he's only now got 3 pieces to score points with,
Yeah.
and he's no longer got his leadership.
Yeah.
His output is not
Exactly. However, the Black Widow does really well this turn because she's got a ton of power. She's been on an objective. She's been doing attacks. She's been taking a little bit of damage. So she's got loads of power and she has Deadly Origins attack, which is a pretty cool attack where it basically is, and it would have been even cooler with the Steve leadership, but it's basically, it's a 7 dice attack, physical, I think. She automatically moves medium as part of the attack and on a hit or a wild, she can make a shock batons attack, which is her 5 dice range 2 builder, rerolling any number of dice, including skulls. Wow. So she can do a bit like what X-23 can do, where she can kind of make 2 attacks with 1 action and also move in the process. But this is where the too dangerous to ignore comes in, because then Black Widow targets X-23 with her attack and Gabrielle takes it. So she takes the hit, survives on like 1 or something. The Black Widow does get the trigger off, so can make another attack. But I think Honey Badger takes it again, goes down, but she's done her job because basically now he's spent his power to do that attack, and so she's only got 1 attack left, which is not nearly as effective. So then X-23 gets to go, and I think X-23 then does what X-23 does, finishes off Iron Fist, I think takes off Luke Cage, Dazed Luke Cage, and that ultimately means that I can get enough scoring on that flank. So the Black Widow was definitely his MVP. I think by this stage it was tight on that flank. Yep. So I think if he'd had a chance to go with more characters, I think Deadpool was looking a bit ropey, as in he'd been dazed prior rounds, so he was almost KO'd. X-23, of course, had been dazed prior rounds, and Honey Badger was off the board. So it meant that I think in the end, it was a pretty bloody battle. I think in the end I took out Iron Fist, Sam, and Steve, and he'd taken out Honey Badger, and was very close to taking out Deadpool. He might have even taken out Deadpool.
But it sounds like you've managed to put the damage out quite early on some of the key pieces of his team. He just doesn't have enough pieces then to keep scoring.
Exactly. That's right. Sorry, it's 14-9 at this stage. So this is the end of round 4. So I'm still not quite there, but I'm there. Yeah. Because the round 3, I think we spoke about it, and I was like, should we just play it out, or do you want to stop? Because ultimately I had Cable and Wolverine on one flank scoring me 3 VPs, which was enough to get the win, and there was not enough points. And no one in range. So we do carry on. X-23 and Deadpool die, so ultimately he does win that flank. The game ends 17-11, but yeah, you're right. I did just enough damage. And that flank in particular, it was like 8 threat v 10 threat. So he had the threat advantage. And my flank just held up enough and did enough damage to allow the other flank to mop up his characters.
Yeah. So 17-11, a really, really big win. So X-Force are now a positive ratio.
Yeah, it was great. It was great.
Into final rounds.
Yeah, that was a really good game. And like I say, kudos to Mark. He knew what he was doing, given how new a player he was.
Fantastic. So we're at the final round of the event. You're 2-1, looking to go 3-1.
Mm-hmm.
If you go 3-1, it's looking like a really great event for X-Force. Their first outing, Cable's first outing on Cable's Conquests. You turn up to round 3. Who do you see across the table?
So I see, I'm 2-1. I've had a loss, and I rock up to the table, and it's Pat Dunford.
What on earth is he doing there? He's not normally at the 2-1.
So he's had a disappointing day where he's lost one game. I mean, Pat, if you're listening, you should be ashamed of yourself.
F's in the chat for Pat.
But actually, he's playing a cool new list, and so I get to face the villain of the core box, and that is New Red Skull.
Fantastic.
So I think I have priority in this one. I go with my secures, as you so often do. Although actually, similarly with a lot of the other ones, he basically has the same extracts and secures, so there's not that much choice.
Sure.
We draw Demons Downtown and Montesi. So I haven't played Demons with this list yet, so I was quite pleased that got drawn. So I now played all my secures throughout the day, which is quite nice.
Excellent.
And we play 19 Threat.
Oh, nice big one to end the...
Yeah, I like 19 Threat with this list as well.
Yeah.
I think you can get a lot of fun in this. So I bring in Cable, Deadpool, Wolverine. So the core comes back. That means that Cable and Wolverine have played every game.
Excellent. Well, Cable had to because...
Yeah, of course.
He's the leader and Wolverine is just awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm glad he's seen the table.
Laura Kinney. So X23 comes out again.
She's back. So she's had 3 games today.
She's had 3 games.
You've never played with her before,
No. The sisters got high representation, and then Invincible Iron Man.
The MVP of round 2.
Yep. So you'll notice that neither Lizard nor Domino have seen the table.
Domino's affiliated.
So Domino is the only
she's not there.
non-affiliated character, and part of the reason was because I wanted to play Deadpool, and I think they fulfill very similar roles in that they sit back and shoot long. So
Yeah.
X23 is often a better choice. And I mean, Lizard was in there just for extracts, and
Make
normally
up the
I'm
numbers.
like, I just want to play with my toys. I
Yeah.
don't want to play with Lizard who just walks up.
I'm surprised you took Lizards. I know you love your spider foes,
Yeah.
but I thought you might have either thrown in another affiliated 3 threat just to have there, or even someone slightly wackier to give you an alternative.
Yeah. So I guess ultimately X-Force, I don't own as many X-Force. I don't think there are any more affiliated 3s. There's the affiliated 4s are Colossus and Psylocke, which didn't come.
And Sabretooth.
And
OG
Sabretooth.
Sabretooth.
Yeah. Also, I felt when I was thinking about my list hard, I felt I needed an extract runner.
Okay, that makes
And
sense.
actually, in the end, the extracts that I played, aside from the first game, were slow. And so I didn't need him. So
Sure.
I think the only place he would have come in is the first game instead of Zemo, when he walks to the middle.
And that actually might have won you that game.
Anyway,
That's by the by.
that's by the by. We're on 2-1. We're going for 3-1. We're going to be
Yeah,
Pat, so-
and it's not like it's a big challenge for 3-1. It's only Pat done first.
Exactly. So across the table, he has the new Red Skull, the Master of the World, whose leadership, I'll just summarize because it's new, is there's a bit of contention around here, but I'll say it how he played it and how I think it's meant to be played, is when you attack once per turn, you can change one of your skulls to a crit. And this can happen at any point. So it can happen before the resolve critical stage where you get to explode the crit. After the resolve critical stage, so say you explode one of your crits into a skull, you can then change that into a success. Or even at the end of the modified dice step, because there's no timing on this. And this is how I understand it to work, and there's up for debate in the forums. And then after you do that, you either have to spend a power, and if you have no power, you take a damage. So it's quite a cool leadership.
Yeah, I'm interested.
Yeah,
in how
it's a
goes.
cool leadership, and actually this game made me think, I might try this out at some point. So maybe see it on a future podcast. And then he brings along Hela, the new updated Hela.
Of course. What's changed on Hela?
Actually, it didn't really come up, so I think she loses the claim souls, adding extra dice on one of her attack rolls or re-rolls, and then she also has some movement shenanigans, extra superpowers.
Nice.
And then he has Bucky, OG Bucky.
OG Bucky.
So
nice.
Nerf Bucky.
Yeah.
Worse Bucky.
Yeah, in
In
inverted.
inverted commas. He has the Howling Commandos.
Right, okay. Stealthy, rangy,
Yeah. Got your back.
Incinerates. Nice.
Arnim Zola, which I really was pleased he was playing because I think he's awesome and he doesn't get played enough. And then Bullseye. So
Right.
he's going 6 wide to my 5. Both of us are quite attritionally, and both of us are long range. So he's got a big gun line, and I have a gun line, but I also do have the Wolverines, who do like to get up close and personal.
Range 2 attack. Well, Laura's range 3 attack
Yeah.
is really good.
Yeah.
So
I think round 1. So actually, what's interesting in this game is there was a big terrain feature on almost impact deployment zone on top of the secure that was on his side.
Sure.
So it's a size 5, so no one can throw it. And basically what he does is round 1, he walks up, he uses Eyes on the Prize as Hela. So she gains 2 power in the power phase. So Eyes on the Prize to grab the middle Montesi. And then he basically just sits on top of this building. So it's actually, it was cool thematically, but it was a real pain to play around because he was just trying to fit like bases and balance bases on top of a building. And so he's got cover for the whole game on top of that building until I come to him. And interestingly, I hadn't used my leadership ability, which was within range 3, you don't benefit from cover if you do the reroll all day. And so I thought this was the game.
Yeah, now it'll
then
come
it's
up.
going to come up.
Great.
So it's 3-all at the end of round 1 because I walk up into the middle, so I'm securing the middle. Round 2, there's a few dazes each way, but nerfed in quoted in inverted commas, was an absolute terror.
Cool.
So with the leadership and with the Zola rerolls, suddenly his wild trigger is not so unlikely.
Yeah.
So he's getting his rapid fire and bleed off on the regular. And I think actually at the end of round 2, it wasn't all Bucky, but Bucky was instrumental. Wolverine, Cable, and Deadpool have all been dazed.
Oh.
I had dazed 3 characters on his side. I think I got the Howling Commandos, Hela, and Bullseye.
But is Bucky just got you back in those?
So yeah, so that was part of the challenge I found, was trying to play around that got you back. So Wolverine actually got dazed by a got you back.
Right.
Because he'd taken some damage before, and then he dazed the Howling Commandos, I think it was, and Bucky got you back.
And that'll synergize so nicely with the leadership because it's once per turn.
Exactly.
So when he's doing it in your turn, it's another opportunity.
Exactly. And what was really cool as well is Pat took the new Soldat activated card. So that was neat because it basically meant that his Red Skull was holding an objective. Bucky was giving him cover, although he didn't need that because he already had cover. But he was also then, if you attack Red Skull, Bucky can spend 2 power and attack you back. So it's almost like doubling down on that. And that was actually what was really cool about Pat's list, was there was so many things you had to think about as to who you wanted to attack, because they had 2 got your backs in the Howling Commanders and Bucky, and then they've got the Red Skull cover, and also Bullseye. If you attack Bullseye, he can do chip damage to you.
Of course. Yeah.
All with Zola rerolls.
Yeah.
So it was pretty neat. And so
he's just getting as many attacks out of activation as he can.
Yeah.
And chipping away at you.
Yeah. This was the end of round 2. It was 6-all still. So actually, in terms of VPs, I was still good. And basically, it was because it was exactly the same board state. He had his home secure and 2 extracts, and I had the 2 other secures and 1 extract. So that was good. I was pleased that I was still able to keep on parity, because often in those situations, it can snowball very quickly.
Especially if your day's characters aren't scoring anything.
Exactly. Round 3 kicks off, and this is where the big stuff happens. Really big stuff. Bucky, I pop off pretty sneaky sis.
Nice.
He's a gun line, and a lot of them are out of range 2.
A nice tool in your arsenal against this.
And actually this was really quite important. So I think I pop off pretty sneaky sis and Stark Armory this turn. Remember, we've got Invincible Iron Man involved.
Fantastic.
So it's a bloody battle because I'm getting loads of rerolls. And Iron Man had rolled hot early doors, so he then gets a lot of power to do those rerolls. Bucky, the Terror, does his Hydra tactics off of Red Skull, who he's always within 2 of. Of
course. And
gets within range 2 of Cable and KO's Cable.
Oh, God.
And I think this was a big moment because it was 7 damage he needed to do to Cable, and he got a Red Fury off, but he actually then didn't need the assault rifle. He just killed him. But it was huge because Cable also had the power to buff his defense dice.
Yeah.
So it was actually like 5 dice versus 4 dice in the assault rifle, and then of course the Red Fury. So that was big. So Cable goes down, which is not ideal for me. I lose my leadership.
Yep.
But then up steps Wolverine, and this was my big mistake. This was so thick. I had a plan. Is Wolverine? He's flipped, and I had no matter the cost. So this was my plan. This was my cunning plan, which was going to win me the game.
Great.
I was going to do my charge with Wolverine, take 3 damage with no matter the cost. I'm doing my Berserker Barrage, which goes to 10 dice plus 1 more for Stark Armory. So that's 11 dice attack, counting wilds as doubles with rerolls from Iron Man. He hops on, kills one of the characters. I think I was going for the Howling Commandos because they were holding an objective and I didn't want to got you back. Bucky had used all his power, so he was not that relevant anymore. And then he gets another, what would have been 9 dice builder into another character. So this was my cunning plan. In the aftermath of Cable going down, I think I was shook. And I forgot to no matter the cost. I said, I'm doing my spender. I do my spender. And I haven't actually paid anything for it. I have still 3 power sitting there and the no matter the cost. But I only rolled the 8 dice because I have the +1 for Stark Armory and Wolverine whiffs. big way. So I think he does like 3 out of 5 damage to the Howling Commandos when he counts wilds as doubles.
Yeah.
So that was massive because
those 3 extra dice.
Those 3 extra dice, I'd used the rerolls as well with Iron Man. So I think on the balance, it was pretty unlucky anyway, but it was because I'd made that stupid mistake and giving the 3 extra dice would have probably got them. Yeah. And then my plan was in motion. And we talked about it and I was like, I haven't used the extra dice, so I just have to spend this 3 power rather than using them at the cost. I think I then used no matter the cost, and it whiffed again.
To do it again,
but this time the wilds aren't counted as doubles.
Of course, it's not on the charge.
And I failed to take them out.
With 2 spenders?
Wow. So that's
really unlucky. You talk about it being a big mistake.
It was very unlucky, and but I think that mistake was massive, because basically I needed Wolverine to take out at least 2 characters. I think I also had Weapon X programmed to try and then throw him into someone else, and it just didn't. Well, I think Pat burned a brace in that to save them and stuff, but that's the way it goes. That was a big moment in the game because it meant that Wolverine was now out on a limb, and he got taken out. Iron Man did finally get the Howling Commandos. Iron Man was great again. Actually, he was really good again. But it meant that I was down to 3 characters, and he still, leadership. And I think he had 5. Yeah, with no leadership, and he was holding the extracts. Despite all that, it was still 9-9 at the end of round 3. So I was still even. Then Deadpool, start of round 4, Deadpool kicks us off, and he goes absolutely ballistic. Like, wipes some characters off the board. I think he finally dazes Bucky, who'd been the bane of my existence in that game. And he had a great turn, because he'd been flipped before, so it meant that he had his dance party. And that's a great attack, especially when he was all bunched up.
Yeah.
I think I was a bit unlucky with that dance party because I did it twice and only got the wild once.
Sure.
Which was a shame because that would have done a lot more damage. But he did really well.
Even with your rerolls.
Yeah, even with the rerolls. And Iron Man was still souped up because he kept having big attacks.
No.
But then, unfortunately, Deadpool survives this round, but Iron Man gets taken down by Hela, I think.
Hela comes out of bed.
Actually, that's an interesting rule of Hela's, is if she has 3 claimed souls and she's been flipped, she only has 4 health, but she can spend her claimed souls, if she would be KO'd, to just go back to full health.
Wow.
So I think it was Laura that killed her. She comes back and then kills Iron Man.
So she just spends her 3 claimed souls?
Spends her 3 claimed souls, goes back to full health, which is only 4.
Oh, okay. She stays on her injured side. It's not like full Age of Ultron.
No, not Age of
Hela.
Yeah, Age of Hela. Mini Age of Hela.
Right.
But it was enough to mean she got a bunch of attacks off. She had now loads of power.
Of course.
And took out Iron Man. So that meant I only had X-23 left and Deadpool left. Deadpool somehow survived. I don't know how he did it in the midst of all of them.
Hey, he knows karate.
Yeah. So it was 12-13. So Pat had finally got ahead of me. But I think the problem is by that stage, I think he still had 5 characters left. I only had 2. Round 5, it's an uphill battle. I need Deadpool to do a lot of work, and Deadpool, unfortunately,
had a 3 spare. You're expecting a lot from him.
I think he didn't do as well as he'd done in the last round, but he was. I think even if he'd had ridiculous dice, it would have been a step too far. The end of the game, Deadpool goes down, Laura gets dazed, and it ends up being 11-18 to Pat.
Wow.
So actually it was a really good game, really close all the way through, and it just ended up being his attrition just slightly managed to like snowball it at the end.
It sounds like his game plan worked to a T, where he is needing to hold parity until he can take your pieces off the board and then get that big swing.
Yeah.
That sounds like exactly what happened.
It was, but actually I was feeling okay because it was parity, and when I think the big one was round 3. I think if Cable survives, he's got loads of power, so his big area attack is popping off.
And it heals himself.
And I think that was a little unlucky. I think Bucky did really well. Bucky was the MVP in this game, no doubt.
Yes.
He just was a real pain to deal with, and it meant him and the Howling Commandos together, and you have to be really careful who you kill.
Of course.
But it was Cable going down combined with my mistake and Wolverine fluffing.
Right.
Cost me the game. Because if that round goes my way and Cable survives and Wolverine kills, I've got that advantage, and then it might end up snowballing my way.
Yeah.
So it was a really good game, and actually I played Pat a few times now, and that was definitely the closest game we've had, and I really felt in it until basically round 5, because normally what happens is I go down on points and then I can never catch him up. So the fact that I was parity felt good.
Good. Well, it sounds like you've had 4 excellent games. You've gone 2 and 2, so you're even. First time taking X-Force. Excellent. Well done.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm very happy going 2 and 2. New list, new excitement, and we got the gag in for the podcast. Cable.
I don't mind being wrong, as long as I can correct my mistakes.
So, you're 4 games done. You're 2 and 2. Congratulations. You've gone parity with X-Force. How did you find playing with Cable and the X-Force?
So I really enjoyed it. It's quite different to for the first episode of the podcast, nobody else knows this, but it's quite different to my game style. Normally I do a bit more of a kind of tricksy game style, more control play, but it was really fun just basically throwing dice and rocking up and doing lots of shooting and doing it that way. So I really enjoyed it. The reason I played X-Force was for the first episode of this podcast, but actually, having played them, I would play them again.
Oh, that's really, really good. I mean, the characters I love, so I'm so pleased that you can put them on the table. Yeah, you're right. Normally, you like your webs, you like your spider foes, you like your Hydra, to come in and play some mutants.
And I was really impressed by Cable and Deadpool in particular. I think Wolverine is great and he played in every game, but he's so dice dependent.
Sure.
And so some games he just absolutely wrecks face and sometimes he doesn't.
Yeah.
Definitely the changes have made him better. But Cable and Deadpool, I think the changes elevate them to actually, I think Cable is now a legitimate 5-threat option.
Yes.
And I think Deadpool is actually a pretty good 3-threat, and it's made me think about taking him in other places.
Nice. That's really good. If they're now pulling their weight, you're thinking about splashing them, they're clearly worth the threats. Was there anything in your roster you wish you had differently?
So, I mean, there were a few characters I didn't take. I think Hulk was great, actually. He didn't see the table, but
No.
I spoke to opponents afterwards, and a lot of them were like, oh, I was thinking about how to play your Hulk. So actually, the fact that I had an extra slot left,
Sure.
just slot in Hulk, just play mind games early doors.
Just make sure he's at the front of your box when you're doing roster building so they can see him staring them down and they go,
Exactly.
how do I deal with the Hulk?
In terms of the other characters that didn't get played, there was Domino, there was Lizard, and then Zemo only got that one chance and he didn't do very well.
Yeah.
I love Zemo. I think he's brilliant, and I think he would be good in this list. The other two, I think it was just the fact that Deadpool and Domino play quite similar roles. I can't think of any characters off the top of my head, but if you were to think about it in terms of splashing characters and having like tech to deal with certain things, then maybe you think about bringing other characters in instead of the likes of Domino, for example, or Zemo. But they do very similar things for X-Force.
Yeah.
And if you've got that core, I think you could then just think about tech pieces more than anything.
Super. Well, I can't wait till the next time you put X-Force on the table. How was Dice Saloon? How was the event overall? Was everyone having a good time?
Yeah, it was great. It was really well run. I mean, so Dice Saloon's in Brighton, so that's like an hour on the train from where I live, so that is pretty perfect. We had a good contingent going down from London, and no, the event was great. Aaron did himself proud. The boards, I think in particular, really stood out for me. There were a lot of MCP official terrain or kind of plastic terrain that really fits with the theme.
Sure.
And what I liked about most, and you're like this, is that he set the boards up in such a way that they made sense on the map.
Oh, good. So you were immersed in the setting.
Exactly. Cars were on the roads. I rocked up to the event and I was like, these boards are great. Why is it that I really like them? And that was it.
Yeah.
And Aaron did a stellar job. I think he'd painted a whole bunch of boards, maybe 6 of the 12 tables I think he'd painted. He'd done really well. The event ran really smoothly, and getting 4 games in a day is fantastic. And there were loads of new people there. I think this was the first event in Brighton, at least the first one that I've been to, and it really showed because while there was a big London contingent, there were a lot of people that I hadn't seen before, and I'd played 2 of my 4 games. I played against people I'd never played before, which is what you want to see.
Super. Oh, brilliant. So you'd head down to Brighton and the Dice Saloon again?
Yeah, 100%. I really hope that Aaron and the Brighton crew put on more events there because I would definitely go again.
Fantastic. Well, 2 and 2 with Cable. Congratulations, and I look forward to hearing about Cable's future conquest.
So I think that wraps up our first tournament report coming from Brighton. We hope you've enjoyed it. So I've been Archie Cable. I've been your host for today. You can find me on Instagram, all the usual places, but specifically Instagram with Smeagol's_corner. Smeagol coming from the Lord of the Rings, for those of you out there who enjoy that stuff. And then I'm Archie_RC on the Discord. And what about you, Curtis? Where can they find you?
You can also find me on Instagram. I'm Simple Edge Highlights. And then on Discord, I'm just Curtis. But yeah, I've really enjoyed being taken along this journey and can't wait to hear about your next events.
Yeah, well, thank you for coming on and thank you for interviewing me about my experiences. And thank you all for listening. And until next time, keep up the conquest.
The name's Cable. Remember it.